Lamentably, we always think the best of ourselves. It never occurs to us to understand that we do not even possess true individuality. Worst of all is that we give ourselves the false luxury of assuming that we enjoy full consciousness and a will of our own. If we had true individuality, if we were a unity instead of a multiplicity, we would also have continuity of purpose, awakened consciousness, and a personal individual will. Fantasy is a real force which acts universally on mankind and which keeps the intellectual humanoid in a state of sleep, causing him to believe that he is already a man, that he possesses true individuality, will, awakened consciousness, a mind of his own, and so on. Each of us finds himself in a particular psychological phase, and we cannot escape it unless we directly discover all those people or eyes that live within our person. It is clear that through inner self-observation we shall be able to see the people who live in our psyche, and which we need to eliminate to achieve radical transformation. We need to de-egotize ourselves in order to individualize ourselves. But for anyone who believes he possesses individuality, it is impossible to de-egotize. Individuality is 100% sacred. Those who have it are rare, but everyone thinks he has it. Nonetheless, we must be very clear in this teaching because there exists the psychological danger of confusing authentic individuality with the concept of some type of superior I or something of the kind. Sacred individuality is far beyond any kind of I. It is what is, what has always been, and what will always be. Legitimate individuality is the being, and the reason of the being is the same being. Distinguish between the being and the I. A person is what his life is. We can by no means deny that the law of recurrence is acting in each moment of our lives. A person can change intimately when he truly manages to modify his reactions before the diverse events of daily life. If a person truly wants to arrive at an understanding of himself, he must begin by observing his own conduct in the face of the incidents of a particular day of his life. Certainly, the best we can do is to observe our mechanical reactions in the face of all those small details which one says, feels, and thinks. Above all, we need to comprehend that we are machine people, simple marionettes controlled by secret agents, by hidden eyes. When we self-observe and do not do what this or that I wants, clearly we begin to stop being machines. A single moment in which one is sufficiently conscious to stop being a machine, if done voluntarily, will tend to radically modify many disagreeable circumstances. We move daily within the old rut of our antiquated and absurd habits. Thus it is clear that we do not have a real life. Instead of living, we vegetate miserably and do not receive new impressions. Intimate self-observation is fundamental to real change. What is your psychological state when you get up? What is it that always disturbs you? We know very well that addiction and gluttony are inhuman and bestial. To know that life is a dream does not mean that we have comprehended the fact. Comprehension comes with self-observation and intense work on oneself. Gnosis gives us this bread of life, in the double sense of ideas and strength, which permit us to disintegrate our psychological errors. Every time we reduce an I to cosmic dust, we gain psychological experiences. We eat the bread of wisdom, we receive new knowledge. No one can alter his life or change anything related to the mechanical reaction of his existence unless he can count on the help of new ideas and divine assistance. Gnosis gives these new ideas and indicates the modus operandi by which one can be assisted by forces superior to the mind. Any thought, however insignificant it may be, deserves to be observed. Any negative emotion, reaction, etc. must be observed. Under the influence of life, such as we usually live it, it is not possible to develop anything other than the personality. Whoever really wants to achieve the development of the essence in himself must reach a stage of being hermetically sealed. This refers to something intimate, closely related with silence. One wishes for something real to grow within him, it is clear he should avoid the escape of his psychic energies. When a person is not inwardly isolated, when his energies escape, then unquestionably he will be unable to achieve the unfoldment of anything real in his psyche. The common everyday life wants implacably to devour us. Daily we must fight against life, learn to swim against the current. This goes against life. It deals with something very different from the everyday, something that we must nevertheless practice from moment to moment. I want to refer to the revolution of the consciousness. Observation is a means to modify the mechanical conditions of the world. Inner self-observation is the means for internal change. The observation of oneself, which is 100% active, is a way to change oneself, while knowing, which is passive, is not. Certainly, knowing is not an act of attention. Attention directed within oneself towards what is happening in our interior is something positive, active. Dynamic attention really comes from the side of the observer, while thoughts and emotions belong to the side of the observed. All this leads us to understand that knowing is something completely passive and mechanical, in clear contrast with observation of the self, which is a conscious act. Many times before falling asleep, at the precise instant of transition between waking and sleep, we become aware within our own mind of different voices that talk amongst themselves. Those are the different I's, which in such moments have to break all connection with the different centers of our organic machine in order to submerge themselves in the molecular world, in the fifth dimension. Learning to remain silent, not only with the external tongue, but also with the secret internal tongue, is extraordinary, marvelous. Our emotional life is founded exclusively on self-sympathy. To top off all this infamy, we only sympathize with ourselves, with our much-beloved ego, and feel antipathy, even hatred, for those who do not sympathize with us. As long as we continue immersed in self-sympathy, any development of our being is made more than impossible. We need to learn to see another's point of view. It is urgent to learn how to place ourselves in the position of others. What truly counts in these studies is the manner in which people behave internally and invisibly with one another. It is lamentable that we have not yet learned to consciously originate circumstance. Whoever suffers from a lack of inner illumination must connect their minds with the superior centers of their being. Few are those who know how to take advantage of adversity. During times of rigorous temptation, dejection, and desolation, we must appeal to intimate self-remembering.